problem. Somehow they're able to get on the other side of the trench,
Dave, put that down.
and then somehow they're able to get on the other side of the trench and then straight attack our drawbridge wall.
Hey,
Aside.
Scotty,
Oh,
step,
shit,
Step
yeah.
away. Step
Yes.
away.
Okay, let's go. I'm gonna go fix that right now.
Yeah, that's for right
Because
now.
that ain't gonna work.
For right now, that's Dave's problem.
I would step away from there if I were you.
Dave, it's fine. We don't need you to fire the rocket launcher. It's fine.
Okay.
Seriously.
Okay. Fine.
Just-
Is that what you're about to
relax.
do?
Maybe.
Yes, that is what he was
Fucking
about to do.
resource hog.
I just picked it up. I don't even know where I picked it up.
I'm surprised you're not fucking throwing dynamite at him.
Yeah, how the so they got over.
Yeah, how did they do that?
It's from over here, I think. Oh shit! It's right
What?
here. They tunneled up.
They tunneled up?
Yeah, right from right. You
Oh
see
my
that?
god, yeah. Where do these fuckers come from?
That's scary.
Those motherfuckers.
Oh my god. They have tunneled through.
Anyone see that? Oh, here it is.
Yeah, someone else. Yeah, I'm killing these bitches now. Shetty, but. Yeah, we've got to figure out a way to fix that shit. The only way to fix this is we have to line these walls
Yes.
with concrete. That's the only way.
Yep.
Well, what
I don't
we
know
have
about,
to do.
Yeah, I don't know
is-
about concrete, but yeah.
What we have to do is make.
The wall's smooth.
We have
Yeah.
to make the walls a little smoother.
Yep.
Get rid of these like bridges, and make it pretty damn deep. And that should be fine.
Well, they took care of the bridge problem for us real good.
Yeah, they literally made a cave.
Oh yeah.
That's fucking nuts.
I'm impressed.
From all the way down there?
Well,
Yeah.
they came across. Somehow they came across.
They landed on something over here
Yeah.
and then dug over.
Oh, look, there's still bridges available.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We need to like blow these up.
Where? Where are the
Right.
Oh yeah.
You see him? Fucking shoddy craftsmanship.
That did not work.
That
Yeah.
didn't work. I'm surprised.
I'm a little
Man. Wow,
disappointed.
there went a rocket.
It was a good idea, but
Okay, so I was able to get down here without without breaking my legs. I'm gonna take care of these bridges.
Alright.
Fucking Jeff Bridges. Take this, Jeff Bridges.
yeah,
I'm
I
an
mean,
alien jazz rap style.
shit.
Jazz rapping for
Tonight
anything.
is a blood moon too, so
Yes.
I'm nervous.
Well, I have hopefully protected us the interior defenses.
Yes. There's no doubt. The interior is well protected.
Dave, why don't you put down the rocket launcher and help me clean up these bridges?
Give me a sec.
While I continue to heavily, well, that's the other thing. I'm not even heavily drinking. Just fucking up. Yeah, man, this automation and all this shit, this is like the next level of my career. Because just like virtualization did for IT 5 to 10 years ago, all this like containerization and automation and continuous integration stuff, it's like the next new hot ticket. So
Well, I've wanted to learn it, but
yeah,
what I was saying before was like, so I have 3 testers, right?
Mhm.
I have a senior tester below me, and then I have 2 shitty testers. I
Mhm.
hate to say it. I think one of them's actually retarded. I'm not kidding.
mentally challenged.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have these web properties, and then we have browsers, languages, and devices. So we have this matrix of support.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at the Google Analytics stats and I say, these are the browsers that matter. These are the languages that matter. And these are the view widths that matter. These view widths correspond to these devices, like mobile devices.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that we have to support Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and Edge. I know that we have to support the iPhone 5, the iPhone 6, the iPhone 6 Plus, iPad and portrait orientation, and some kind of in between Android device.
So do you guys do that within just one web application, or could you stand up multiple web instances per device? Like, how are you doing that?
Well, okay, so what we're doing is we are looking at the Elder Scrolls Online community website internal environments, our dev content and staging environments, right? And we're running tests so each person tests in a browser with a specific language. And so like someone will test in Chrome US English, someone will test in Firefox International English, someone will test in Edge German, someone will test in Safari French. So I don't have the testers to cover every language for every browser. So we pair a language with the browser. And then what we do is we look at devices in a separate but similar test. And I say, okay, so the person who gets the iPhone 5 looks at English US. So that's a problem right there. Because there could be language related issues. So like German tends to have words that are really long. And maybe they're really long and that issue surfaces at specific widths that the person who's working that language isn't looking at. So things can sneak through. But I only have 3 testers and I only have so many hours a day, so I have to make compromises like that. With automation, I can take care of 80% of that day in, day out shit.
Right. So have you looked at automation platforms like Pickle and all this other shit?
Yeah, I have. The problem is I don't have time to learn them, and I'm not allowed to use company time to learn them. I've asked, and the answer is no. Absolutely not.
Fuck?
I agree completely. The other thing is tester burnout. Because we have to test all that stuff manually, we're running the same huge tests every day, and they just start to tune out.
No.
Yeah, like they're burnout. They're bored out of their fucking minds.
If you've tested it once, you should never have to test that again. I mean,
well, no, because we're constantly we're constantly pushing new code and new features and new content.
Right, and that and I mean the only way you can do that is with continuous integration methodology. Where it's all automated. Wow. Yeah. No, I mean like so.
What we should be able to do is focus on change list regressions. Rather than okay, we changed the environment. Now we need to make sure everything that should be exactly as it is as it is. That should be automated.
Because the base, like whatever your base tests are for the platform, should just automatically be there, right?
Yep. So I've approached other departments that are kind of related to me to develop this for me, and they have great interest in doing that. The problem is it's not their highest priority. It's not done on my timeline. And I'm constantly needing to update the test to support new features and stuff.
So you don't have the time to teach yourself this other...
Exactly. And I can't do it myself. I would have to submit requests for them to constantly be updating these tests, and would always lag behind what I needed. So it's like I basically just abandoned automation. Right.
So what's interesting is that, I mean, I don't know about game development, but so when like DevOps across the tech stack, be it QA, testing, IT infrastructure, software developers, hardware developers. DevOps is a culture change, and especially for software devs, when it comes to infrastructure and QA and test, is the methodology and the culture change is when a developer writes a new piece of code, it is the developer that writes the test harness and the test base,
Hmm.
right?
Interesting.
Because like they're the developer. They know how the shit works.
Oh my god, man. My biggest problem at my job is the
Uh-huh.
fucking developers do not understand what acceptance criteria is.
Mhm.
So they can't deliver me. So they deliver me a product to test and they're like, "Hey QA, test this." And I'm like, "All
I don't know
right,
what this is.
And they go, "What is the accept?" I go, "What is the acceptance criteria?" And they go, "Well, what do you want from us?" And I'm like, "No, no, no, no. That's your burden. You
Yeah,
made the fucking
you
thing."
wrote this shit.
Exactly. And they don't
Yeah.
understand that. They don't get
No.
it.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, that's, and unfortunately, it goes back to the politics and the culture. That is the number one failing of, people read what DevOps is and they just think it's a bunch of skill sets, and it's not. It's skill sets plus the culture change, and from management level down, the championing of this culture change. If you wrote this shit, you have to come up with the test harness, right?
Yeah.
Now, once you come up with the test harness, then you can, have the QA or whoever take that harness and then add it to their automation. But until you write the test harness and can prove that your code is automatically tested and good, you can't release it
Mm-hmm.
to test. And that's the biggest, so I basically just, there's like one of like the conference I went to, one of the keynote speakers, did I just die? I just died in a very bad way. One of the keynote speakers is this author. His name is Gene Kim, and he just came out with a new book, which they're giving out for free. It was like State of DevOps or something like that. But he wrote this thing called the Phoenix Project back in 2013, which basically documented how the Facebooks and the Googles and the you know big monsters were using DevOps methodology to just gain orders of magnitude higher efficiency. Like nowadays, companies brag on how many releases they do a day in production, um, because of DevOps and integration and all this stuff. And that includes everything from development, tests, IT infrastructure, teams, all that stuff. So, I mean, the thing is that obviously, your company is, if you're not in Silicon Valley, it's going to take time.
Mm, yeah.
And so now it's making its way down here to SoCal, and like, we're looking to do this in our own company, but I also see this as a springboard for my career, because yeah, I make less money than I did in Silicon Valley, but the cool thing is like my last job in Silicon Valley was like you're gonna have a problem with. Like, one, the company didn't believe in taking the time to learn that methodology, and two, I was so overburdened with like just the day-to-day work because I had to do manual tasks that I couldn't learn it. So now I'm finally in a position where like we've got customer serving platforms that are going out to the cloud that demand, someone learn DevOps, and we build this team. And I don't know. I mean, I would, it may be painful, but like you may want to take time to learn, some test automation scripts in your personal time, and
Yeah.
because like part of it is unless you show it working, they'll never adopt it, right? So it's like
It's
you've
true.
got to do the hard work first, and then you have to kind of do some like political maneuvering where you you show your manager that you've done this, and then you kind of allow him to run with that ball and see like, look what my team's done, blah blah blah, right? And yeah, he's an asshole for like taking your idea and your hard work and like, putting his name on it, but then that may enable you to get to a higher place in the company, but then one day take that title and the skills you've actually built, because he hasn't done anything, into another company, right? Because if you can take that skill set somewhere else, like just go look at dice.com and look at what they're paying for, people that know Ansible or Salt or, you know, anything with automation behind it, right? Because like the for me, like in my industry, the day of the sysadmin, it's like the days are numbered.
Mm.
Like the days are already numbered for the guy that just knows storage, just knows email, just knows this. Like that's a given. I'm a jack of all trades where I can understand systems end to end, storage, virtualization, compute, security, all that stuff. But even that now is being threatened by anybody that can read can learn that shit, and as soon as you know, like as soon as you can figure out, like, I can click this and this, or I can run this command and do this. As soon as you can do that, you can automate it. And if you can automate it, you never have to fucking do that thing again
Mhm.
manually, right? And basically that's the mindset. Is as soon as you figure out how to do it manually, then you figure out how to automate it, and do not ever do that task again manually.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's what I'm like. They're like, my director is looking to, have me be the DevOps manager for the IT team. Like we're basically creating a third department with sub department within IT. We've got service desk, we've got infrastructure, and then we have DevOps. And um, so I'm looking to work with one of our IT apps developers in house, and then we're looking to hire one more person that hopefully is like somewhat of a rock star, already knows, Ansible or Salt or one of these things that can help springboard us into, you know, basically springboard, our initiative. Because the problem is that if you don't know how to develop, you really can't play on engineering's level. And if you can't play on engineering's level, then it's hard to add value to them. So, but that's where it bridges the gap, because there's a really good quote during the conference, that uh, really spoke to me, because the thing is that these developers develop some shit, and that's great. They think they're, the king of the hill, but when they develop some shit and then I push it into production and it breaks, it's my fault first, not theirs. And then, but when you get the culture change of DevOps, and not only is the operations guy that released this code into production, like, responsible for at least responding to the outage, when he gets to wake the engineer up at 2 a.m. because his code fucking broke,
Yeah.
then the developer actually wants to make better code, right? So that's the major shift, is and that's why they call it DevOps, is that operations people start to learn developer methodologies, but then also developers start to learn operations methodologies. Like, yeah, you may think you're king shit because you wrote this thing and it works on your laptop, but if it doesn't work in production and you haven't tested it right, we're waking your ass up because you're the one who's got to fix it. Like, our infrastructure's sound. It's your code that fucked it up, and now customers can't do whatever, right? and the problem is that for too long, engineering has had such a pull at the corporate level that engineering managers can just say, no, my guys, they can do no wrong, and that's bullshit, you know. So yeah, I mean that's those are kind of the things I'm seeing, and I'm sure you kind of feel that pain too.
Yeah, yeah. We actually had a DevOps guy, and we lost him. He was gonna revamp our entire publishing process, and then he left, and we've been like dead in the water.
Well, probably because management didn't enable him to do his job.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yep. I saw the same exact thing happen to the last company I worked at. Yep. Like they knew, well, at least IT knew they needed a DevOps guy, and so they sold the job to this guy, brought him up here, and he was just like a build, like a continuous integration Atlassian platform wizard. Like he was an IT guy in the beginning, and then but he got to the point where he understands build process, and he could actually read source code and tell people that like their code was shit, and why, and so we got this guy, but then he quickly found out that the people that actually held the power were back in Korea. And so then my director, who I now work for now, which is a different reason, I still work for now. He moved down to SoCal, and I moved down 7 months later. He basically sold this guy that we could do all these great things. So this guy like sets up a new Atlassian test environment and shows like all these new cool whiz bang things working. And then he has a meeting with the Korean team that is responsible for the Atlassian stack. And they're like, oh, no. We already have plan. You must submit your changes. It will take at least, 1 year for us to look it over and approve. And he's like, well, then what the fuck am I doing here? And so then when he goes around my director straight to HR and says, you guys just hired me for a job that like I can't even do because I'm working for a director that has no authority to enable me to do my job. And then it got back to my director, and he's like, well, look, man, like, I'm sorry, but, like, it's going to take at least, 1 or 2 years. So, why don't you just help us on, like the sysadmin side of things? He's like, no, fuck no. Like I was a sysadmin once. I worked my ass off to get out of that position and into this. So, it was.
Damn.
So it's fun. Yeah. And so I work for that director still, and I basically followed him down here because I needed to get out of the Korean gulags into this company. And then it also allowed me to get into an area where I can actually afford real estate in California. So now, now that I've got the opportunity to embrace DevOps and possibly become a DevOps manager, I'm going to spend at least another, year or two here, if not more, getting that title, getting that experience, so that one day I can leave and be a true DevOps person or DevOps manager.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Fucking DevOps is treasured here, my company.
It's so engineering embraces it, just not the QA department.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like
So yeah, okay, you gotta look at from. I understand Darren Manis's point of view. So he's an old school QA director in the gaming industry.
mm-hmm.
Gaming industry, it's almost all game testers. And if you look
that
at
manually test, right?
yeah, and you look at ZeniMax, our studio, ZeniMax Online, is the first IT project. It's the first MMO. It's the first like online infrastructure project. Like they're used to testing single player
Oh,
games, you
that-
know?
Okay,
So
it's
he
yeah,
doesn't
you're
get
right.
us.
Completely different. Yeah.
Uh-huh. He doesn't understand us, and we have very different needs. And they tried to adjust, but he's not a technical person. His manager, his right-hand man, is not a technical person.
Dude, why
So they
can you go to like a CIO or you know, like take somebody out to lunch?
I don't know. I mean, so that gets into politics too, because
Exactly.
so ZeniMax is corporate. Corporate is Rockville, and that's 40 miles away.
Mhm.
That's in DC. We're in Baltimore, and apparently that's a different planet. And dealing with Rockville is dealing with like I don't know how to I don't know a good analogy. It's not like dealing with our studio leadership. You're dealing with, you know, Mother Base, very different culture at corporate. It's one thing to talk to people in your studio in leadership positions. It's another thing to like deal with Rockville.
Yeah.
It's that physical distance problem.
Well, do they understand technology at all, or they're just holding?
I would say they understand technology because it's actually a little weird, but like ZeniMax is also people get so confused over Bethesda
Mhm.
and the games they make.
Mhm.
So like there's Bethesda Game Studios.
Okay.
They made Fallout 3, they made Fallout 4, they made all the Elder Scrolls single player games. They're the flagship studio of ZeniMax.
Uh-huh.
All right. So there's Bethesda Game Studios. Then there's Bethesda Softworks. That is the publisher for all of ZeniMax Studios.
Okay.
All right. And then there's ZeniMax, and that is the corporate headquarters. Here's the thing: ZeniMax, Bethesda Softworks, and Bethesda Game Studios are all the same building and a lot of the same leadership people.
Right.
So Todd Howard, Robert Altman, Pete Hines, they're all like sort of melted together into that Bethesda behemoth, but they're three separate organizations doing three separate things.
Hmm.
So ZeniMax has access to the Bethesda publishing and Bethesda Game Studios, you know, pipeline of talent. And us being in Baltimore, less than an hour away, are ZeniMax Online Studios, you know, the 1st big MMO project. We have a lot of different technical expertise. We have our own IT department, you know, our own directors and stuff. So they have access to that stuff, but it's such a weird like corporate setup. It's such a weird structure. I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little burnout on ZeniMax.
Yeah.
Good people, like working with them, but I'm just kind of sick of doing the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that, but it's like, well, it's either A, you find a place where they're looking